We're kicking off National Homeownership Month with Kaileen and Cece from Housing Solutions. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We're excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's just jump right in. For people who may not know, what is Housing Solutions and what is your team focused on?
So the Housing Solutions Department's primary goal is just to make sure that we have a wide variety of housing options that are accessible and affordable to people at every income and stage of life. We do that a number of ways. We really try to find opportunities to increase housing in the community. We support housing projects that really align with our community goals. And then we also have begun partnering with stakeholders to try to help them identify and address barriers that might be making housing, building, preservation, and finding housing more difficult. Another piece of it is that we're really trying to make sure that the community is aware that housing is something that impacts everybody. And we are not here to just serve one residency group. We are here serving students, working families, seniors, employers, because housing really impacts the entire community, and it's a marker of our health and prosperity and makes Greeley such a great community.
Awesome. And why is affordable housing not just a low-income issue? How does it affect people at different income levels across Greeley?
Maddie, I think affordability really affects everybody in the community, from young professionals trying to stay and live in the community that they grew up in. In addition to that, like Kaileen said, employers, seniors on a fixed income, families balancing day-to-day expenses. It really creates a ripple effect when housing costs are a burden to those families. And so it's really important that, we know that it affects all of us, right? It really depends on the household and your lifestyle on what you can afford to pay. And it's really important for us to create different options for, like Kaileen mentioned, every state of your life. But in addition to that, understanding that housing creates a ripple effect from, commuting, right? You can't afford to live in the same area that you work in, so you're driving in or out an hour. In addition to that, it affects really the community, right? Local businesses, where you shop, where you dine in, and things of that nature. So it really affects quality of life.
That makes a lot of sense. And you've said partnerships are key to this work. So what does that look like, and how do those partnerships help create more housing options in Greeley?
Partnerships are critical for creating housing. It's really important that we work with local developers, nonprofits, state organizations. We all bring something different to the table to create that solution, including other city departments. For example, infrastructure is a huge piece of it, land acquisition, development expertise. So when we work with those organizations or partners, we really are tackling this big task as a partner and as a team. One organization can't solve the housing crisis, right? Or one partner. So if we work together, we really can work on solving that as a team, and we can create more options as a whole, and get that done faster.
That's great. And Kaileen, how do you determine who qualifies for affordable housing, and what role does AMI play in that?
Oh, that's a good question. So typically it's program eligibility is going to be determined by household income, the size of your household, and then any other parameters that program or development might place on the project. And then area median income or AMI really plays a role, because it's the main way that our industry determines or sets those parameters. It really defines who is intended to be served by that program or development. And a healthy housing community or system is going to offer a wide variety of housing options that serve multiple different AMI levels. Because again, housing is not a one-size-fits-all solution. What I'm willing to pay for my housing and what Cece is willing to pay for her housing is not just about how much I have, but my values, where my job is, where my kids go to school, those kinds of things. So we want to offer a wide variety. So AMI plays a role into that. However, with every single program or development, while the technical process to get to be a part of that program changes, like from situation to situation, the overarching goal is the same. Housing affordability is a community issue. It's not an individual issue. It really does determine who is going to live, work, and get to stay in that community. And that's something that we all care about.
And may I add, one of the things that we say often, at least within our team, is that we do use income qualification for several of the programs that we work with, but it's not for, it's not across the board. So when we are saying housing options, we really mean it across the board, knowing that some of these programs will have an income requirement and some others won't. Again, because we're trying to serve the community, and like Kaileen said, it's really important and it matters, right? Some families have children, some families are just young adults. So it really changes the perspective of what every household needs, and we are trying to address that.
Sounds like a very holistic approach to affordable housing.
We definitely try to make it as holistic and as team oriented with our partners as humanly possible.
Correct.
If you want to learn more about how Housing Solutions is advancing housing for all in Greeley, visit our website.